wonder what it's like to have a big family where every single member has their own opinions? Welcome to the Family Chat Show, the real life show where we aim to share our version of life. And now it's time for the Family Chat Show.
Michael's going to open this week anyway.
Tanking in sport. Melbourne Football Club this week were found not guilty of tanking, and yet they were fined $500,000. How is that possible if you're not guilty to be fined $500,000? And there were severe sanctions placed on the coaches and the club officials that were involved. How is that possible if they're not guilty?
So what are you saying? Do you think they're guilty?
Well, clearly they're either guilty
or they're not.
Or they're just trying to collect the money. Like, they get the general public to donate millions of dollars to get them out of debt, and then they go and fine them $500,000 for something they're not even guilty of. So, how does that work? Any views? Have you seen the news?
Yeah, I've seen the news, but I haven't really paid a lot of attention to it because it's sport. You know, sport's your forte.
Okay, so what concerns you? The fact that they paid a $500,000 fine and they've done nothing wrong.
Well, according to the AFL, they're not guilty, but the club's been fined $500,000 for bringing the AFL into disrepute.
So, was it them who brought up the tanking claims? Who brought up the tanking claims?
Well, what happened originally was, if you finished on the bottom of the ladder, you got an extra 2 priority picks. Now, if they, as it turned out, the last 2 games that Melbourne played that season, if they were to win even one of them, that would lift them off the bottom of the ladder and they would lose 2 priority picks. So, what they done is they fielded a team that couldn't possibly beat the other team. Even though they tried their hardest to win, they didn't really expect them to win. But they could never prove that that's what they did. And they interviewed 52 people from the club, and although they were found not guilty of tanking, the fact that the investigation went ahead.
But who instigated the investigation?
Well, it's hard. I don't understand who. I guess it was just general rumour and general sort of people making comments like clearly they did that on purpose. Clearly they fielded a dud team that couldn't win. But, like, every club in that position would have done the same thing. Like, win one of these games and you lose 2 of the best players that are coming through the AFL. Lose the games, which you've got absolutely nothing to gain by winning. And then you get 2 of the best players coming into the AFL to join the club. So that was clearly unreasonable.
Paid more if you win or anything?
No, exactly the same. Like, unless you make the finals, but they're not going to. They weren't never going to make the finals. This is right at the end of the season. They were never going to make the finals. They'd had to win 10 games to make the finals, and they'd only won 3. So there was no benefit to them finishing 16th as against 18. Apart from a bit of pride, there was absolutely no.
So what should have been the correct procedure? What do you think?
Well, if you're not guilty, you can't be fined. So really the AFL's going to come out and say we found the club guilty, and that's why they were fined $500,000. Like, the first thing they do, as soon as the club looks like they're going to lose some money, first thing they do is they go to all the members and they go to the public in general and say, we need to do a fundraiser. We're badly in debt. Well, Jim Stein's joined the club, and they're in debt $2.3 million. Well, through his fundraising and everything else, it got him out of debt. Now, they've just been fined $500,000. They're going to find that from somewhere. So the next thing they're going to do is go back to the public and say, we've got a $500,000 fine. Now we're in debt. We need to raise that money from somewhere. So they're going to reach out to the public to give them $500,000, which then just goes into the AFL, who already has billions of dollars. But they're going to scam the general public to get that $500,000 back. I guess that's what the point of it is. And if they're not guilty, how can you find someone if they're not guilty? How can you place
What are they
sanctions?
saying that on the footy show? Is it being talked about this or not really?
Well, it's sort of gone under the radar. Initially, it was a big thing, but then the drugs in sport with Essendon basically took over all the stories, and they've had like 3 special programs talking about drugs in sport. And the gist of it is they weren't cheating. Essendon wasn't cheating because the drugs they used weren't actually on the banned substance list because they were never trialled for human. So
First place.
no one even knew they existed. You can't put them on the list if they're not even in the public domain.
Well, it was a Q&A the other day when they were talking about the drugs. They were saying that a lot of the banned substances aren't really banned. So, like coffee, for instance, that was banned for a long time, and then it was overturned. So now it's not banned anymore. You're allowed to have caffeine, but that does enhance your performance.
Yeah.
But you're still allowed to have coffee before
But
it's not
they don't
a banned
have
drug anymore.
They don't have coffee. They have caffeine capsules.
Yeah.
Which is just getting the substance out of it. So really, it should be illegal. Like,
Yeah,
but
the way they use it, yeah.
I see them doing it at local level as well. Like, come.
Yeah, but they're saying that they're not real, they're not illegal drugs as such. You know what I mean? You think of illegal drugs, you think of heroin, you think of that
They're
type
just
of thing.
exploiting the fact that coffee can...
Yeah, so a banned drug isn't necessarily an illegal drug, is what the point you were trying to make on Q&A the other day.
Yeah. Well, there's a certain list of drugs that are banned.
Yeah.
But these ones, because they've never been trialled for humans, like they've tried them on horses and different things like that.
Yeah.
And like it clearly, what they done with the Essendon players is they turned around and said, they got them to sign a waiver to say that they understand these drugs have never been tried on humans or have never been trialled properly and approved by the Drugs Administration Board. There's been not enough tests done, but they willingly accept these drugs, knowing that it could be controversial, and knowing they're bordering on illegal activity. Clearly it's illegal activity. You can't, how is the AFL going to say, this substance is banned when it's not even on the market? It's clearly cheating, but what their parents are up in arms is that the players, they're all young, they're all 18 to 25-year-old players as an average group. They're doing whatever they're being directed to do. People already were fully aware that the people that they got to the club, they're saying now it starts to rely on who's got the best chemist as to who wins the flag now. They were already renowned.
Did you watch Can of Worms the other night with Akka and
No, I didn't see that.
Julie, Master Chef Julie, whatever.
Yeah, our phone's ringing.
That was what I was talking about last week.
But the point was Julie and Akka, and I forgot the middle bloke. Well, Julie was the middle girl.
Yeah.
There was 2 blokes on the side. Akka was on that side, there was a bloke on that
But
side.
that must have been last week, because that was the one I was talking about last week, because that's where I saw Akka on.
Oh, Dave Hughes, was it?
No, it was American Queen Arch Barker.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, the question was, are they going overboard on this drugs and sport stuff? And Akka was yes.
But Akka's
And
a
Arch
drinking.
Barker was yes. In other words, leave it alone. But Julie said no. I didn't let my kids play sport so they can have drugs in their system. I let them play sport so they can be healthy and they can be, that type of stuff. So
That's
her
what the
argument.
parents were up in arms about. Of the Essendon players, all the parents had to go into the club and all that, and then they were explaining to them what they were actually taking and things like that.
Yeah.
They were signing a waiver basically, or signing an agreement not to ever talk about it. It was all hush hush.
Yeah.
But the people who they employed at the club, like their fitness coach and all that, they came from Geelong originally. Geelong won 3 premierships, so then of course their aspiration to go on Geelong as well. Because Bomber Thompson went over there, and then all of a sudden he brings over these fitness coaches and nutritionists. That's the word they call it. But their reputation already preceded them. That they, why would you want them anywhere near your club? Clearly they're handing out drugs, and they're not doing what every other nutritionist is doing. It's not about nutrition, it's about the drugs that he's supplying to these people to help build up their bodies and stuff. But they're injecting into their stomachs and doing all sorts of things. They've signed a waiver basically not to talk about it, period. Like that clearly,
There's something wrong.
they need to wipe Essendon out, like, at least for a year. They used to say, hang on a minute. Well, normally you'll get banned for 2 years. If it was anyone else, automatic 2-year ban. You're using drugs in sport. There's no if buts about it. There's no denying that they're using the drugs. What they're trying to get away with is saying,
Yeah,
well,
but that sort of doesn't make sense that way though. Like, you know, if they're going to, you just said he came from Geelong, who just won 3 premierships, and now he's in things. So what about if Essendon's going to get kicked out? Surely Geelong has to get kicked out.
but
as
there's
well.
no proof that there's no aspersions cast on Geelong.
But obviously they do the same investigating they've done into Essendon. They
Yeah,
come up with the same thing.
maybe that again, but that'll probably be
Geelong.
next. That'll be the next thing
Yeah,
they'll
but I reckon you've got to sort of get every club. You can't just pick and choose certain clubs. That's what I don't like. I think,
But you do need to have some sort of proof that it happened. I mean, there you've got not proof, but evidence that it's likely to have happened.
yeah, but I think you need the structure first. What you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, and people need to know that. Like, there's no boundaries there. Like for nutritional drugs, they need to. So with soccer, where do you start? Where do you start with it all? They're all. Even kids of today drinking all these drinks, like Shannon. I just sort of think, where does it stop?
Well, I mean, there's certain things that have been tried and tested on people, and with no side effects and things like that. The AFL has only ruled against drugs that have been tried and tested, either accepted or not accepted. And there's a list there that says you can't take this, you can't take that, you can't take this. Any performance-enhancing drugs. They're not talking about stuff that's been tried on humans.
And that's the
has
key
no
word, it's
effect.
performance-enhancing.
Yeah. Well, which you can have performance-enhancing drugs that are legal, like your proteins and your muscle builders and all that sort of stuff, as long as it falls within the rules.
Yeah.
But when you're trying drugs that have never even been tested on humans before, you're clearly cheating. There's no if buts about it. You can't just say, well, it wasn't on the list, so therefore it doesn't count. Like, clearly you know it's not on the list, and clearly you know you're cheating. Like, they need to send a strong message to sport in general. Like, a big club like that, it's basically come from the top. It's right throughout the club. There's clear evidence of what they've done. They've admitted to what they've done to a large degree. Now, really, they need to look at their proper sanctions, and they need to say, look, what you've done is unacceptable.
That's what I'm saying. Look at the proper sanctions for every club, but not. Yeah, there's one section for the whole lot. It's not.
We'll see
If you've done nothing wrong, you can't sanction a club that's done nothing
No,
wrong.
I'm not saying sanction the club. I'm just saying have the rules specifically. Like, you can't just because you're focusing in on Essendon, but
The
Geelong,
rules
you
are
said.
specific, though. Like, there are specific rules.
What's the problem that everyone's breaking them, breaching them?
Because what they've done is get around it. Because the rules that are in place is if you take A, B, C, D, E, F, G drugs, then you'll be kicked out.
I think
or
it's
you'll be banned.
the sport itself. Like Mick, he'd play the game as he was watching it on TV. You'd get all the emotions with it. Knock him down, or do this, or do that. And somebody had just got out of hospital with an operation and got a weak ankle. And, and the aim was to get that person so you can get him out.
Yeah.
Of the thing. Like, what mentality is that? A guy's just come out of hospital.
But what they say is if you're on the field, you're deemed fit. And even if you've just broken your arm in the last contest, if you haven't got off the ground straight away, and you've taken that ground, you've taken the response, you've said, I'm fit enough to keep playing. So it's all fair in love and war.
That's how it is.
It does look.
Mick, but it's a whole psyche of footy. That's sort of how they, get you out because you're the best one. No matter that you've just got a broken arm or anything like that. The idea is to get your arm to make it because it's a weak spot now. Like the mentality of it. Like these are human beings. I don't care what a sport or anything. You can't just go and take a person's shoulder. They've just had an operation on it.
Yeah, but that's right.
Just take them out.
That's right. Yeah, the idea
I
is.
know. It's just I never understood that concept to start with. I just can't.
Yeah, I've never thought it was fair. And the AFL actually has got a bit tougher on that. The AFL has said, like they now what they do is unnecessary contact. There's a new charge called unnecessary contact. So, just say the guy's hurt his shoulder, he's holding his shoulder like that, and he's either walking off the ground or he's contemplating whether he's going to stay on for the next 5 minutes. but it's clear to everyone that he's just injured his shoulder badly, and then you just go and bump him when he's nowhere near the ball, then you can be charged with the same as striking. A classic example of that is Chris Judd. When he did the chicken wing tackle, like the guy, I trapped the ball underneath him, and he grabbed his arm, and he bent his arm straight up like a chicken wing, and he got 9 weeks for it. Like, no one had ever been rubbed out for that before. Like, you can drag someone off that way, but if you lift their arm up that way, 9 weeks suspension, because it could dislocate his shoulder. But it's done on an impulse. Like, it's like this.
That's what I'm saying. It's a whole psyche, so you can't stop it. Like I said, I used to think it was just Mick. I used to think he was just horrible and mean, you know, because he wanted Essendon to win. But no, that's just the culture of it.
Yeah, but they are trying to stamp that sort of stuff out. Because the thing is, whatever happens in the AFL, if you go to a junior club, you'll see it repeated time and time again. Like, whether they take a specky or whether they start a fight or... the more things I used to think, they're getting too soft in the AFL. But then you go to a junior level match and you see them copying their idols, and you know why they're trying to stamp it out, because those kids are never going to, like, the parents are not going to let those kids play footy.
But like the culture of teaching footy is to knock that guy. Like, they teach you to get that guy while his arm's weak. Like, it's the whole thing coming through. It's not just
because it's a business.
random.
It's not.
That's exactly.
It's not anymore a sport. It's a business.
Yeah.
At the moment, a club has to earn $80 million just to survive. So, it could be that one bump you didn't do on that bloke, and he picks the ball up and gets a goal when you could have taken him out in the last tackle.
Yeah, but
it makes a difference.
Don't they understand there's a body there amongst it all? That hurts.
Yeah, you're not allowed to swear at him. You're not allowed to call him a black bastard, but you're allowed to do that to his arm.
Yeah, it's. I just think they're wusses. I can't stand racism in sport. I think it shouldn't even be. It sticks and stones.
Dear Asteroid 2012 DA14, we regret to inform you that your primetime spot on the catwalk has been absolutely hijacked, upstaged, outdone. Wow. I think we're going to have to watch this one more time. This little atmospheric intruder over Russian airspace made it nearly impossible for DA14 to top its performance later today. It lit up the Russian sky, mostly broke apart during descent. I say mostly because windows were blown out, fragments did hit the ground, and 400 people have been injured. That's not really a small event.
Was it a meteor to start with? Was it really a meteor? Like, the conspiracy theory that I've got, which I know doesn't follow through. But today you have Kim Jong-il firing a nuclear weapon. It was twice as big as the last one, but not as big as Hiroshima. It was a thing. So today they fire that thing. The very next day was that in Russia. So how do you know that wasn't his? Like they said, that went and landed somewhere safely.
How do you know it wasn't that?
How do you know that wasn't Kim Jong-il's?
Because, it's split up and they've got the rocks, like there's lots of pieces of it.
Like, originally when I first heard about it, I ignored it. I thought, meteors hit Russia, thousands have been injured, no one died, they've been injured. But I ignored the story. I just saw the headline and didn't bother going to see what it was, or didn't see it on the news or anything like that. And I think probably the 10th time I saw the headline, 3 days later or whatever it was, I'll just click and see what it was. And I sort of went, that's quite stunning. Like, you saw something like that coming in the air, it would freak you out, surely.
Yeah. And it'd make a big whistling sound too.
Yeah, well, the first story I got was a whole pile of meteors have hit people, but it's only injured people. That's why there's so many people injured. I didn't realise what they meant. You know what I mean? But when I finally read the story, there was only one meteor that came through. I thought it was must have been thousands of pieces have fallen all over the place, but apparently there might have been 1 or 2 pieces around. I'm not sure, but as far as I can see, there was one meteor that went, and that's all it was, just one meteor that went straight past the town anyway, and fell the ice.
The water.
Yeah, and
You're all
they've
mountains,
stopped
isn't it?
looking for it. Yeah. So they've stopped looking for it now. So they called off the search too because it went down the bottom of that river thing. I think it's just a big round circle in the ice. There's a big round circle where they reckon that's where it went through. So in theory it's under there somewhere, but they're saying it probably broke apart. Like they couldn't find any evidence of a big rock
Yeah, well,
there. Saying it broke apart.
my theory is going back to the 1950s. We were doing a lot of experiments with the Hiroshima bomb, right? We were sort of doing a lot of experiments, and they reckon that's what got the attention from outer space, beings out of space, is us doing all these explosions. So they've come to think that it's not a very friendly place, and they've got their spies out and sort of looking, and the more they see, the more they realise it's not really, we're war people, we're not really, friendly people. And with the website, they kept saying, like, they've got technology better than we've got on Earth than we could ever imagine. And they're saying they keep warning the dark. They call it the dark. They're not really naming countries, people, or anything, but over the years, right, over the decade. And they told me we're going to make an appearance, and they're going to make more appearances. And I see that meteor, and I think, was that a warning shot? Like, it's all around the nuclear energy, like the attraction of it all is, couldn't be just fluke that you just land on the nuclear plant. Well, they didn't land on the nuclear plant, but all the nuclear facilities around that area, and that's where it landed. And like I said, my history is like of UFOs and that is because we've been doing things like that, and they've got that's how, like I said, we're known as a warring faction. And yeah, like I said, I think it's some warning. We're better than you. Stop using your technology for bad purposes like Russia did.
Yeah, but they're not targeting anyone else, they're targeting each other on the Earth, so I don't see how that reflects in outer space.
What do you mean?
Well, it's not like they're getting the nuclear missile and sending it to...
Yes, they are. That's what they're doing. They're sending them on. Well, not necessarily out, but they're sending them have to make an impact. And meteors did come from outer space. So, like, do we
They're
ignore...
setting it up. They're not setting it up.
But meteors...
They're trying to kill... They set bombs up. Like...
If they don't fire a bomb and it explodes up in space, they fire a bomb and it lands over there and explodes.
Yeah, but all their
Like
testing...
Mururoa Atoll and all that stuff, it's because they fire a bomb into the ocean. Then it goes off inside the ocean. Nothing to do with it. It doesn't go up and then explode. The only ones that go up and explode is like the rocket ship to the moon that's supposed to go to the moon, and after, it gets up 2 kilometres and blows up. That's the only ones that explode up in the atmosphere. The actual nuclear bombs, they're shot to somewhere. So they hit a target.
Yeah, but they're making obviously a lot of energy as they're doing that.
Absolutely.
And like I said, I can't really pinpoint it, but a meteor did come from outer space. Like you said, it might not even been a meteor, it might have been North Korea sending it over, but let's say it came from outer space.
I think 100% it came from outer space. What they're saying is 100 years ago, in March the 23rd, 100 years ago, exactly the same thing happened. Like, it's on the cycle, this great big... It did, Russia. 100%, yeah, 100%. Okay, this is the story I've heard.
Okay, well, no.
And I've got video of it to back up my statement.
In 1919, it hit Russia in the same spot.
No, in 1913.
And it hit Russia in the exact same spot.
Not the exact same spot.
Yeah, that's
in Russia, though, in Russia. It hit in Russia. It didn't hit in Australia.
Like the Sahara Desert. Well, that wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, so what they're saying is that most likely this thing there's a bigger thing that's travelling around. Just missed Earth. It was lower than the satellite.
The asteroid, yeah.
Yeah, they're saying that satellite, this is like a piece of that satellite. Okay, so they're saying that's expected to come back again every, it's on its cycle, it's on the space cycle, so it's going around, and they're saying in another 100 years that's going to be coming back over Russia again, and expect the same thing to happen again in 100 years' time. That's what they're saying.
Why Russia? Out of all the places in the world, why Russia?
Because that's where
it's gravity.
Yeah, that's where, like, not every planet goes in a perfect circle, but it goes in a perfect... It goes in its perfect... What do you call it? Trajectory. Yeah. So they can tell which trajectory it's going to go on. Like that's sort of how they do beforehand that was not going to hit Earth, that asteroid.
Yeah.
But they suspect that it was going to come awfully close. So it came 25,000 k's away from us, is where it was. And that's not as far as the TV satellites. So in between our satellites, that asteroid came through, but that never hit Earth. That missed the Earth.
Yeah.
That was the one that I was saying. That's the 2012. The Doomsday. That was supposed to be that one. That was the whole. That's why the 2012 came about, because I knew that asteroid was on the way.
If you look at the size of planets in the solar system, when you look at the Earth and all the known planets, we're like a speck of dust compared to the size of other ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I'm saying, so just because we're doing activity doesn't mean saying other things aren't doing activity. Like God created the stars are there if you wanted to. Like the other day on Q&A, he was going back, there's nothing to prove, no fact. Well, what are the stars then? The actual Bible says God created the stars. We see the stars every single night.
Yeah, I know. But
What's the connection?
at the same time,
God created the
And the
stars.
firmament and separated the two.
I'm just saying, they're going on like the other day, they're going on, there's no proof. Well, what are the stars if there's no proof? And that's what the whole concept, well.
You're saying stars is a proof of God.
No, I'm just saying they're saying there's no physical match. They're saying God's invisible. There's no physical proof that God did that. Well, there's no physical proof of their, like I said, I don't understand where their science is coming. They've numbered it all and worked it out. From nothing. Nothing comes from nothingness.
But it's not from nothing, it's from experiments.
No,
Yes.
didn't you hear his, what's his name, Steve Hawkins? Their creation, their idea, their theory of creation, something randomly turned up, and random things happened, and that's how we all came. That's a theory. You can't start a science on random events. Or the guy the other day, he thinks science is all about uncertainties.
No one knows exactly how
Well, how can you work out?
to start, whether it was Big Bang or whether God
That's
just
what
went
I mean.
blah.
How can you tell me that your theory is better than mine if you're working on because nobody knows this part?
Because all of my theories, which is science you're talking about,
Yeah.
I can prove. I can replay
You
that
can't
exact same
prove-
theory.
if it come from
I can show
nowhere,
you proof of that
But
theory.
you can't. It's like that's what I get mad at. Cause and effect. That's what science is about. Show me a cause that is causing that effect, and I'm happy. Don't just tell me this effect is. It's like diseases today. They'll never cure cancer. They'll never cure anything like that because it doesn't exist. In reality, it's just they haven't found the cause. They know that you've got cancer, but they've got no idea why you've got it, and 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 you've got it, right? But they still give you medicines and all the rest of it. They're not curing you. They're just prolonging it or leveling it out or whatever they do because they haven't got this. And that's what I'm saying. They need this to get that.
They're saying, with cancer, they've had a cure for cancer for the last 40 years. They just haven't wanted to. The drug companies hold it back.
Yeah, they make more off the sickness.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's lots of, exactly. There's lots of things happening that we don't know about. They keep this and keep that.
They've got a train that will travel at 4,000 kilometres an hour, but they've never implemented. I don't know why they won't implement it. There was some same sort of thing, speculation why they don't implement it, because then it would stuff up this job and that job.
Yeah, but business holds business back. I mean, like Apple, the iPad, they made new technology, but they've copyrighted that technology. So if anyone tries to copy them, they either owe them a lot of money, or they're just not allowed to copy them in the first place. But there's a number of things that Apple has held back. They keep them. They're not allowing anybody else to get that part. So where like medicines, like penicillin now is in public domain. So anybody can make penicillin and sell penicillin and call it penicillin type thing. Where a certain gadget inside the iPhone that might give you a better video presentation or whatever. It's things like that they're holding back, but to stop other people from doing it. They're saying if all these companies didn't hold back on their, on their patents, on their copyright, the world would be 20 times better than what it is.
That's
because,
right.
Same
I believe the world's got everything it needs. It's just needs all coming together. It's all off in different directions.
Same as they've had cars that run on salt water for ever and a day. actually invented it all, he was shot and killed because they wanted to protect their own industry. And they've never actually approved their use of something that would run on water, like a vehicle that would run on water, because it would put so many people out of a job. And basically...
And there's all that petrol there to use, why not use it? That's their thinking, you know. I mean, we can make billions of dollars out of that petrol.
Yeah, it's about the money.
But if you put an electric car in, we can't make that, we can't
That's
sell
the
that
same
petrol. So.
as tyres. I remember when we were getting tyres all the time, Steve from Bob Jane, he told us that they come up with a tyre that never was the lifetime of the car. So you never had to change them. Well, they didn't come out on the market, did they? Because they wanted you to buy tyres.
Yeah.
So
It
again,
probably did come out on the market. Goodyear or whoever has bought that company, you know what I mean? I'll give you $1 million for your company,
yeah.
and that's the end of that company.
Yeah, that's what quite often happens.
Yeah.
But that was, yeah, well, I guess it was in that, you know, that addendum that they talked about all those sort of things. Yeah. Cyclones, they talked about all those products that they've invented, but they've never released because of what it would involve.
Yeah, I just think, like, for argument's sake, there's a mark on that board, hypothetical, right? And like that back's just got there, so now we can see that mark. Like, we don't know. It's money. Oh, Michael!
So does the devil.
Oh my God! I didn't see that, man.
Always happened to me. It's like last time.
James did that.
I did how long it took last time when I questioned whether God existed. I was walking down the street hitchhiking, and I was going to the races. We drove past it during the day when I was going to work, so I was up in Queensland, and I saw a sign saying you can down to Speedway tonight. I thought, oh, that'll be good. That'll be something to do. It was about 10 kilometres from where I live. I thought, but it was straight up the highway. I thought, oh, I'll just hitchhike up there. So I started hitchhiking, and I saw this red arrow pointing in the direction I was walking. And I said, okay, I stopped it. I was like, oh, a red arrow pointing exactly where I'm walking. That could be a warning. And then I'm like, stood there for about 20 seconds. I wasn't getting any closer to where I wanted to go, and I'm like, don't be silly. Now I walked about another 25 yards, and I said, well, you really thought that sign said don't keep walking in this direction. You ignored it, nothing's happened. So you also really believe in God. What if God isn't true? Next minute, a car run me over exactly like that. Exactly the second I said it. Like, in my mind, well, what if God isn't true? But lucky enough, that day I went to did my communion at church, and I'd had me bread and I had me water, and I said to myself, well, that'll protect me. And I was in a 100-kilometre zone when the car hit me. It was doing 100 kilometres an hour. But it actually caught me on the shoulder because I had my arm out like that. And I think it was just some young kids in the car. What they decided to do is see how close they can get to me without actually hitting me. At the same time I was thinking all this stuff, and next minute, exactly that split second, I go, well, maybe God doesn't exist. Freaking car hit me, spun me round. But that's all it did to me, basically. Spun me round, knocked me
I
to
don't
the
even know what
ground.
a concern did. Did you say it happened before it actually happened? I was just like, I just seen it come. I didn't know what
It
to
didn't even
say.
fall softly like it went.
Well, anyway, the point that I was trying to make, there's a mark on that wall, on that board, right? And we've just sat down here, and now we've got no idea how that mark came, right? Now we're just discussing it, right? Now, well, maybe Brian did it when he was doing that. You might say Joe did it, or oh no, Gav was out here. The kids were out here, for sure it was the kids, right? We can come up with any. We've got no idea, right? Until we actually find out. Well, Joe did that when she was putting the poster up, her hand slipped or whatever, right? Now we know, but really it's all theory, and that's what I'm saying about diseases. They're all theory, because anyone can pick a spot, yeah, that spot everyone's got, and they call it cancer. But really, they don't know where it came from. And that's what I get shitty about. Because science to me is explaining everything. There should be nothing left unexplained with science. In my mind.
Well, they'd say it comes from
Yeah.
smoking, and they say it comes from the sun. They've got quite a few reasons.
Yeah, but there's none really solid. Like, you
No,
know.
because there's no consistency.
Chris, mate.
Well, everyone must. I mean, that. There you go. Smoking causes lung cancer. Well, that's a blank statement. That's not. They're not allowed to lie to you. So obviously they must have some
They
proof
think
that
that.
smoking causes
They
lung
think
cancer.
that. I'm not saying it's not good for. It's good for you at all. I'm not saying that at all. But they're putting it all in the category. Diabetes can cause that.
You
this
wouldn't
can
legally
cause
be
that.
able to put a blank statement like that
If you
unless it
believed
was
it.
true. Unless it was true.
If you believed it, I believe it.
But then you've got probably nearly as many people who don't smoke who die of lung cancer.
That's sad.
So,
No, yeah.
well, you're probably maybe on a 2/3 ratio.
I'm just saying they
Maybe
haven't
like
got. They
1/3,
don't know
2/3.
why that spot's there. They just can see the spot. I can see the spot. I'm not telling them that they're lying.
I think what
they
they
just
do-
name that spot.
Yeah,
What they do is they find 1,000 people with cancer and they find out that 970 smoke cigarettes. So
Correct.
they said, well, that's what
That's
causes it.
exactly what they do.
That's right.
Whether it's coincidence or not.
And then, like, okay, you say emission from cars causes it, right?
Yeah.
So then, the first thing the petrol company does is exactly the same as what the tobacco company does. Like, no way in the world, you know, you don't claim anything and then you sue.
Yeah.
Me, suddenly I've either got no money or I've got to shut up. One of the two. Like, I've got to never say that again.
I think there's too many case studies of people who smoked to deny it, and if they look at, like, you've only got to cut a body open to say,
Yeah, well, that's what eventually happened. Like, you know, but there was a big effort in order to make the tobacco companies admit, yes, it is a problem.
but they
That
fought it
saves
all
every
the way.
single thing.
They
though.
fought it all
Take
the
a
way.
different
and
subject.
they
Take a different, like SIDS for argument's sake. Right, you heard orange juice created, you know, was the cause of babies dying. Then that went on for a little while. And it was honey, and it sort of went on. And you hear all this in the end. What are they saying? And then Chris sort of brought home to me. She said, "Yeah, but every time things like that come out, as a parent, I gave Tina honey. I gave her orange, and so every time it gets her in the heart, but you would to everybody. Like if you're told, you know, not putting your baby on the side is the cause that your baby died. You know, like so now you're worried about that. Gee, I didn't really, you know, I did put them on the side. I didn't really think about that issue until this is years ago. Chris sort of brought that home to me. Like, that's right, you know, with all those people on the sidelines that you're not thinking of. I just thought, how can it be this? How can it be that? How can it be the other? I think that's really what made me realise they don't know anything really. They just
Yeah, basically that's why they come around and they interview you and they ask you a big questionnaire, all these questions, and then
They still
collate
don't
all the
know.
evidence and then say, okay, well, 975 people did this, 745 did this, and they just look at, you know, they're looking at what you said, they don't know, but they're trying to make
yeah, but
a
you should
case.
shut up until they've made the case. If that's going to affect Chris, right? Look, I didn't even go
The
there.
point is,
Never
they
think
shut
about
up.
that.
No one donates to their money because they're not doing anything.
Yeah, but
You
it's
know what I mean? So by at least saying we think honey's caused it, and people go, well, all right, they are obviously trying to find out what it is. Here's some money to help. You know what I mean? So
Again, that's what it is, to a
Yeah.
large degree.
yeah,
It's what actually, all money for research is ridiculous.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. That,
well,
and they,
administration costs for everything is incredible.
Yeah,
You know, like just to administer the doctors that need to be in spot to ask the questions for the parents. You know what I mean? There's like a huge cost outlay
Leanne had
just to
showed me a
administer that to
fridge.
happen.
She had 3 needles in there, that big, $25,000 each. She had $75,000 worth of needles when she had MS. And that's just 1 week.
So,
That's right. Like, how do they justify a vaccine being $25,000?
only because they can
This
get
one
that.
doesn't work.
That's
Yeah,
right.
only because they can get that.
They
But
justify it because they've spent $4 billion
because
so
you believe
far
that that
on
spot
research.
is cancer. So you keep giving money and they keep exploiting it. They, like,
Yeah, or you
you
can't
can't
diagnose
name
cancer
once you've
or-
named something, you've named it. That's the importance of names. Is like once you've named it, you've tied it down. It's like what? Well, that's right. You've given it a life. Like Terry, for argument's sake, he said he was going to the doctors for this and that, and then this doctor finally put a name to whatever it was that he had, and he was happy with that. That didn't improve him any,
Yeah.
but and that's what people are looking. They're just looking for
Yeah.
answers. And I'm just saying that the doctor will come up with a plausible answer, but really it doesn't cure you or anything like that. It's all, and it just, that's the life we live. I understand that, and that's the way it's accepted, but it doesn't make it right. Like, you've got to know how that got there just before you can actually dissect it
And
or work it out.
okay, so back to your original point of science and religion. Science tells you what it knows. Okay, it doesn't tell you what it guesses.
But it
It tells
thinks
you
it's
what
full
it
of-
knows.
That Professor
Okay?
Krause the other night, he said science is full of uncertainties. No, it's not. Science is full of wonderment. How does that happen? How does that happen? Like, it should be, how does it happen? You know, that's the wonder of science.
Theory is an uncertainty. So scientific theory, it's an uncertain thing. It's certain until someone can better that. Until someone can prove that this is wrong.
Yeah, well, if you've built a whole science on a random thing, that's wrong for science. Like, that's alright for an insane person to do, or an amateur, or I'm just a normal everyday person, and I thought, oh gee, I think that over there
No,
might
but
be
it's
because
not.
of that.
I mean, you've come to the conclusion, that, hypothetically, that God created this whole world, right? Science has come to the conclusion that we don't know whether God created this whole world.
No, the
So-
science have come to the conclusion God didn't.
No,
Yeah,
atheists have come to the conclusion.
No, scientists don't believe in God. That's the whole point, is they
Many
don't believe in
scientists believe in
science.
God. Many scientists, or the majority of science, believe in God. I've had this conversation before and researched it. That many scientists believe in God.
Well, the
Okay,
one- the
so
famous one's
science doesn't take God into account. Science doesn't take any guesswork into account. So when you're actually doing a
When
scientific
you're guessing, if it's a
experiment,
random thing, you're guessing to start with. Like,
you're not.
you're claiming science. Science is exact, as far as I'm concerned. You
Okay,
can't-
what's the difference between the man claiming God created the whole world and science saying God never created the whole world?
Well, then it's up to the science.
Or science really saying we don't know?
Well, we don't know is alright. That's acceptable. And you're open-minded. But no, it cannot be. That is
So
just-
why? How can it just be that God created all this then?
I'm not saying it is that, but I'm just saying they're saying they don't believe God exists because they can't prove the nothingness behind it.
They can't incorporate God into an equation.
Right, but they can't do that from theirs either. They can only start from that point. No, they start from this point. That's what.
They can say, if I put gas through this container, the gas lights.
Yeah.
Okay, so the experiment would be first, does gas light? Okay, gas, yes. Someone accidentally lit a lighter and gas lit up, so we know gas can burn. Right? So scientific fact is that gas can
Yeah,
burn.
yeah.
Right? You know that as a fact. There's no guesswork
Yeah,
involved.
yeah,
You've seen
that's
it actually
right.
happen, right? So then science comes along and says, right, well, I need to have a stove, or if we took that fire and fed it through a tube and fed it to a stove type of a setup, we can put a pan on it and we can cook boiling water on that. Right?
Yeah.
Because I've learned the science that, number one, the fact, which is science,
That's right.
that gas
You
can
can do
be on
anything from facts.
fire. So as soon as I've got a fact,
yeah.
I can then make things
And
better.
I love that.
Once I've got the
That's
fact.
right.
So
That's what science is all about. The wonderment of
That's
it.
the
What
point.
can I do? What can I do?
there's
But
no guesswork involved in that.
so why are they guessing what that mark is? Guessing it's cancer when they've got no idea where it's how it even got there. That's my
No,
point.
they haven't got their final conclusion yet. They haven't
Why
seen
are
it.
they
They haven't seen
diagnosing
it over and
money?
over and over again. But they've seen gas light over and over and
For
over
100
again.
years or more they've been studying cancer. 100 years
Not even
more.
longer.
Right? So they've got all this money. Now, they're studying something that doesn't exist. That's a problem. Like, they need a different track. They need to see something.
Obviously it exists.
Huh?
Obviously it exists. Do you think when they pull someone apart and go through their kidneys or lungs and see that it's got all this black stuff that nothing's there? Obviously it exists.
That's obvious. That's exactly. I'm not complaining that that's what doesn't exist. That's what does exist. I can see it. You can see it. I'm just saying. You're just automatically saying it's cancer, right?
But I'm not
You're
saying
naming it.
I'm not saying bank on it. I'm saying I think it might be cancer at this stage. I think it might be cancer.
No, you actually. People are going for chemotherapy and everything
Because it works.
based on that.
Does it work? No, not based on that. They based
No,
on,
it goes in
let's
remission.
try this. Oh, look, that's happened to work. This person hasn't got cancer anymore. That must have worked. So,
If it doesn't-
your choice with
no,
cancer
no,
is...
there's no cure for cancer. There's remission. It can hold. It can
People
stay.
get cancer and it goes
No, it goes
to
to remission. Then it comes back even stronger.
Sometimes.
A lot of times.
Probably.
Like they haven't
No,
cured
yes,
it. They can't.
that's not the point. The point is, if I don't give you this, this, you're going to be dead tomorrow. If I give you this, there's a chance that you might live, because that's what scientific experiments have told me. I mean, if I don't get a chance, if I just go guess, I think you've got a thing called cancer, but I have no idea how to fix it. What good's that for you?
Well, the fact is that a lot of people now, if you're told you've got cancer, they're not living long, because like, that would overpower me too. Like just the thought I've got cancer, you know, that's what it's doing.
If you've got cancer, a lot of us, like even me, I'm fucking doctor. Whatever happens, happens. But when I get sick enough, I'm going to go to the doctor, aren't I? So in the end, it looks to you like I've only, 2 months later, he's freaking dead.
Yeah.
No, but you don't know that for the last 5 years, I've had all these pains or whatever.
Which
I'm having, and I'm not going.
But
you don't see that part of it. You know what I mean? All you see is he's gone to the doctor and he's fucking dead.
No, I've gone to the doctor. You've gone to the doctor. You've come back and said the doctor's just told me I've got cancer.
Yeah.
Right. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
It's cancer. But so you've just been told that you've known you've been sick for 5 years.
Yeah.
But now you've been confirmed you've got cancer. Now you've got to go home and think about the impact of. Do you go and dedicate your life right now, like some people do?
Absolutely.
And that's what I'm saying, is the thought of it. It's not, so you really got to weigh out the way. Like it's
To some, but then to others, they'll go, all right, now I'll make my will out, I'll make sure I go to the right people, so they plan for the end result. You know what I mean? So, some people will benefit from advance notice, some people won't benefit.
That's right. But where's the balance? Who does? Like that Tasmanian.
Truth. You always want to know the truth.
That Tasmanian Premier, he was told, Jim Bacon, he only lasted 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I just think it's the power of the thought of having cancer. That's scary to know.
There's a story in church that says one bloke he was diagnosed with cancer and he was told he had 60 days to live. So he thought, well, I'm just going to go off and enjoy nature, and he just walked off in the forest. Didn't take anything with him at all, no provisions. And he basically survived on water. 60 days later he walked out of the jungle and he was completely cured of cancer. Because he had he just detoxed his body by just drinking fresh water the whole time. Never ate anything else. And basically just killed cancer within him by just purifying his body.
And that's where the scientist comes up, because I'm a scientist who's researched for the last 5 years how to cure cancer, and you come along and say, water did it for me. Well, I've got to justify why I've just spent $5 billion on this trying to find a new type of water. That's right. So then that's where your makeup will come in, as opposed to like the actual science isn't wrong. It's just the person who's going to benefit by not mentioning that. You know what I mean? So, but that's the scientists themselves. That's not science. The science is still there.
Can't
Science
explain why that
knows.
mark's there, and in my mind, science should be explaining that. They're talking about
Scientists are just like me and you. We have no idea how that.
Well, where's it?
But science will science rather than scientist. It's all truth. There is no guesswork. There is no individualism.
I absolutely love science, but I don't like the way
scientists
that's
doing.
Right. That's right.
Around.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like there's facts and there's facts. And, I agree. Everything should be. There's a reason for everything. Just because you don't know the reason, like there was a reason that mark got there. All right. Now we can guess, like I said, but that's all it is. It's a guess.
So the point is, yes, scientists can be corrupt. Okay? But science itself, I do not believe in scientists can be corrupt. Science is science. It says proven experiments over and over and over.
That's right. To come up with the same result every time again. That's right.
Like it's all still all called scientific theory. Like there is no, like the theory of relativity, is a theory, but the scientific theory is a fact.
Well, I'm happy with the facts. I just think, how can you get a fact if you create a whole theory around random thing occurring? You can't really explain why things occur.
Science
if the
doesn't have an
science is
absolute.
based on. Like I'm just saying, you got to have the right. It's a what is it? A play on words, really. It's really a matter of the words. I just don't like.
Their version of how it happened. You don't.
Well, I just don't believe the scientists can work on explain science began to something like that. But it's not there. I can come up with the answer. Like, you've had your
Yeah,
history.
but you can still. Okay.
Hit me hard, hit me square. So
We went to an auction and we bought a cupboard, and you say the cupboard's here. You have no idea how that cupboard got here, but science will say that obviously it was there, it come to here, so somehow that
That's right, yeah.
there. So they'll say the most likely way that this happened is it went on a truck and got delivered. And so if there's no other evidence to back that up, that's time those that got from there to there.
That's what I mean, yeah, and I accept that. And, you can obviously nothing. There's a reason for everything. There is a reason why they got there. We just don't know what. It might have been 10 years ago. The guy found it on the side of the road, stopped and picked it up. That's how it got
Same
there.
as nobody knows how dinosaurs became extinct. Only guess.
Yeah, I don't understand how science can guess. Like I say, I can understand how guessing.
Because there's no dinosaurs around. They know they're not there anymore, and they've found bones, so they know they existed. They just don't know what wiped them out, but they're assuming a meteor wiped them out.
Yeah, it's been saying that for a long time, yeah.
No, but that's an assumption. There's still
that's what I don't
no
like.
dinosaur and a meteor.
Like I said, the whole medical
But they're not
profession-
giving you a final definition of it. If they give you a final definition of it and you believe it's wrong, then you've got an argument. They're not saying we put
I'm not
went
going
this way.
That's right. So I'm not really. I know they're saying they think medical wiped it out, so I'm not into that bargain. They can think what they like, and that's fine by me. I just for them, yeah, that's right. For them to say a medium created, wiped out the dinosaurs, they've got to prove to me that medium wiped out. They can't just say that.
Same as they say, oh, this dinosaur was 1.5 million years old, this one's only 1.4 million. How the hell do they know?
Well, because of their science.
What is
Because what happened,
How
what they've done, Michael, with terracotta, and they find the old things at this level, depends on whereabouts of the earth they find it. If it's deeper down, it's the longer period. And there's 3 levels, apparently. Like I watched a documentary not long ago on that, and that's what it's sort of saying. So the lower you are, the obviously more older you are. So from that terracotta was at 2,000 years, that terracotta was like in the 1400s. And so that's it. There's 3 stages of it. So wherever.
If nobody was around a million years ago, how do they know it was 1 million or 400,000 years or 100,000 or 2?
That's
one of their isotopes or something. They've got a thing that if it's 10 years old, it'll turn purple. If it's 20 years old, it'll turn a darker purple. If it's 30 years old, it'll turn a darker purple, etc. So they work out the shade of whatever it is that they've. Yeah, well, there's a certain.
And this is science. This is what annoys me about
There is a
science.
specific scientific theory behind it.
There's too many gaps for, like anybody can have a guess. Like I said, I'm happy for us to all have a guess for everybody in the world to have a guess. But don't come out as a scientist and make a statement. That's a fact, and that's the problem with the whole lot of scientists. That's right, I've got to level up. It's like I didn't separate nations and leaders. I thought they were the same. Australia's a bigger collage than Georgia. There's a lot of things, Like I see books as in, like I look at the Earth's collage too. There's Australia right there on that picture. I'm zooming on there. Zoom in on anything you like. Pull it out and have a look. But you'll find Julia Gillard's book in the whole sort of, lives. And it's really, she thinks she's Australian. She's making decisions in the whole name of Australia.
Because Australians voted her as the leader job, yeah, that's right.
So, but she doesn't know she's only personal opinion.
She's not a person, she's the leader of Australia.
Yeah, but she's, to kick it back to reality, she's only, not just...
Back to reality, she's the leader of Australia.
She has a right. She has a right.
Legally,
Yeah, I know legally she has a right, but that's all.
One bloke I always used to hate was Bruce Ruxton. Used to absolutely hate him every time he opened his mouth to smoke. He's still alive, too, man.
Steve Cotton does that to me.
So did I. Oh, no, Ruxton, I'm thinking of the South one, Ruxton. I know Ruxton, he's dead.
He's the other South.
I'm thinking of the LNP bloke over in Show. I always confuse the two.
Not kidding right now.
It's West Australia, I think.
The miner. Queensland. What's his name? Richie.
Ruddock and Ruxton were there too.
It was always Ruxton that I couldn't stand. Always talk on behalf of Australians, and like I didn't agree with anything he had to say, period. And I was thinking he's speaking on my behalf, which is absolute bullshit. Talking about how the Japanese still owe them and all that sort of stuff. Like the war's been and gone. And even he was asking for compensation for everyone who was a prisoner of war and things like that. First of all, they just wanted an apology. And I picked it way before. Like, yeah, they wanted an apology. And next, so as soon as they apologised, then I say, now I'll compensation.
They admitted liability.
By apologising, you've admitted liability. So now give us $25,000 compensation for
That was a big
legal prison.
That was the big thing about Rudd, wasn't it? With his apology. Howard's just as well saying you can't apologise because you apologise, they want compo.
Which they
same thing. We don't want compo, we just want to.
So they apologise and they'll put in for compo.
Yeah, the compo was there before him.
Compo is there regardless.
I think they specifically, made a plan that when he apologises, we are not going to seek compo for that because he was man enough to apologise.
I think they did.
No, but nothing that wasn't already in works.
Yeah, I was probably saying that.
The apology didn't change anything.
Thus ends the second episode of the Family Chat Show. Thanks for watching. You can join us next week. For more information on the show, you can visit our website at thefamilychatshow.com.